What are you gonna do?
Told you. We're gonna hang out. We're gonna watch a movie. We're gonna take some pictures. And I'll pay you.
Men to woman, or woman to men.
Man to woman.
From penis to vagina. Is it for you?
So not that anyone really cares, but the 2025 Oscars just aired a little while ago, and when the awards lineup was initially announced, it caused a variety of reactions in people that ranged from slight annoyance all the way to extremely deep hatred and loathing.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
To be fair, for most average people, myself included, who are just out here trying their best, the Oscars have struggled to be relevant to us for well over a decade. I mean, as much as I'm a fan of hoity-toity millionaires circle jerking each other, I'd rather just watch live streams of people bullying each other on Marvel Rivals and seeing them get traumatized by their experiences in solo queue.
Woo! That feels good.
We've seen the numbers support the fact that the Oscars have been struggling to appeal to viewers for a while now, with the Oscars dropping off significantly in viewership from its high point in 1998, when about 57 million people tuned in to watch the sinking boat romance movie by the renowned director of the Blue People Dances with Pocahontas Wolves movie win a bunch of awards, to now falling to a low point of less than 11 million viewers in 2021.
Oh my god, he's so heavy and he's so cold.
Which, for kicks and shingles, let's see what won Best Picture that year. Nomadland? The one where she's a nomad and is on land? You know, I think we should have her direct a Marvel movie. That sounds like a good idea. Oh wait. Oh. Well, better luck on Buffy, I guess. I'm sure she'll do great. Okay, so jokes aside, 11 million people viewed the Oscars in 2021, but the number actually bounced back up a bit in 2024 to 19.5 million. Most definitely because we just love watching these auteur movies win useless awards, and I absolutely love seeing the actors and actresses feel their definitely not big at all egos. I mean, there's no way people were just tuning in because they were waiting and hoping to catch another viral moment live.
Oh, wow!
Although with the latest 2025 viewing numbers coming in, it appears the upward trend slightly continued with the viewing figures at 19.8 million. Guess you gotta celebrate even the small victories. I think there's a lot of reasons for this overall sharp decline, like the fact that not as many people have cable anymore, with cable subscriptions dropping from 73% of all households in the US at the end of 2017 to 42% in 2024.
That's rough, buddy.
So live TV events like the Oscars have seen a big drop-off. I mean, the reason I think most people have cable nowadays still is just to watch the sports matches.
The team, go sports!
Alright.
Hulu streaming the Oscars for the first time probably helped the numbers a bit, and I would imagine they would have been even higher if Hulu had actually been prepared for the traffic it got. Guess they just had to go and pull a Netflix. Ultimately, I think the biggest reason people used to tune into the Oscars is it used to feel like a cultural event where it was about so many things, like the fashion, the speeches, and that base animal instinct we humans have to see the movies we like get awards and win. It was a cultural moment that connected us all together, and at the heart of cultural moments is authenticity, which usually when things begin to feel inauthentic, people can start to feel the difference between something that's genuine and something that's manufactured. And I believe that's where the disconnect is coming from nowadays, and is another big reason for the viewership dropping so drastically, because we realized this is kind of bullshit. In regards to fashion PR took over the red carpets, and celebrities became walking marketing tools who were paid to sport a luxury brand rather than individuals expressing their own personal styles or collabing with their favorite personal designers, like with Audrey Hepburn and Givenchy. In essence, it became a corporate runway show.
You guys look bad. Like, it doesn't look good.
Speeches turned from quick 60-second blurbs to quickly express their gratitude to evolving into performances where they would use their platform to tell you how
You've got to do better, Senator.
about doing your part to save the environment. Meanwhile, they continue to fly around the world in their private jets. Which in the past, political moments did happen during speeches, most famously with Marlon Brando sending a Native American to decline his Oscar for The Godfather in protest of Hollywood's treatment of Native Americans, which is kind of based, not gonna gonna lie. But instances like this were not the norm, and were more just one-off individual statements rather than reflecting an overarching trend. And finally, the awards felt less and less like the best movie was actually winning, or even getting nominated. It felt more like Hollywood telling you which movies actually mattered, because their taste is obviously far superior since they voted for the movie about a gay black drug dealer, while a large majority of us just really wanted the cute and colorful musical with a bunch of jazz and dancing to win. I mean, Moonlight was fine, honestly. But boy, do I have thoughts on the Fishman sex film winning.
Shape of Water had problems, right?
So yeah, much to everyone's shock, all of this corporatization and politicization and any otherization you can think of caused a deepening rift between the normal everyday man and the Hollywood elite, resulting in more and more people just dipping out every year from tuning into the Oscars. And I feel like it just can't be chalked down to live events are outdated. I feel a good comparison is the Super Bowl, which you can see here, they're still experiencing peaks in viewership, even though the commercials during Super Bowl 59 were really, really terrible, especially with all the weird body horror commercials. Anyway, remember how I mentioned in 2024 Oscars actually saw an uptick in viewership? Well, I think the most obvious reason for that is a lot of what was nominated was actually popular among general audiences. Most importantly, it recaptured that feeling of sharing in a cultural moment by capitalizing on the biggest cultural moment of 2023, which we all know as Barbenheimer. And what's crazy is marketing agencies will try to replicate that moment for years to come.
Stop trying to make it happen. It's not going to happen.
But it can never be simply manufactured because Barbenheimer was a completely unplanned and authentic moment that just kind of happened, and one cannot simply replicate. And because of this cultural moment, people actually wanted to tune in and see Ryan Gosling perform I'm Just Ken, as well as see Christopher Nolan sweep the awards with the Avengers movie equivalent for white male actors. And it wasn't just Barbenheimer people were invested in. People cared about Godzilla Minus One, a movie that came out of nowhere and put the American monsterverse to shame. We got to see it win the award for Best Visual Effects on a $12 million budget, no less. Take notes, American movies. People also wanted to see a Hayao Miyazaki film win Best Animated Film, which gave us the added bonus of the Miles Morales voice actor losing it when Spider-Verse lost. Good thing he's turned a new leaf after this embarrassing meltdown and has definitely not done anything problematic since. Fast forward to the 2025 Oscars and their nominations, and classic Hollywood, they learn nothing.
You know nothing.
Case in point, the movie Emilia Perez getting nominated for 13 Oscar nominations. Oh my God! No, that can't be right. Okay, alright, confirming it did actually receive 13 Oscar nominations, and it's actually been truly incredible to witness this movie single-handedly create world peace by uniting the right and the left, cinephiles and normies, all races, all genders, all sexualities, all ethnic groups in our shared confusion and disgust for such an unworthy movie somehow being nominated for even one award, let alone this many awards. Ironically, this has unintentionally created a new cultural moment, except one of complete disdain for the Oscars and what it represents now.
You blew it!
Now there's a lot of videos out there describing why this movie is so bad, so if you want to deep dive into that without wasting your time actually watching this nonsense, I'd recommend these. Because as someone who watched every painstaking minute of this movie, I can confirm it's not worth trading your sanity in order to experience this movie firsthand. But high level, it's a French-directed, Spanish-language musical tackling the Mexican cartel through Google Translate dialogue with the subtlety of a brick to the face. It follows a burnt-out lawyer who's hired by a ruthless cartel boss to fake his death and help him transition into a woman. Years later, the cartel boss, now going by Emilia, seeks to right her past wrongs by using her cartel connections to find the cartel's missing victims. She also pulls a Mrs. Doubtfire to secretly reunite with her ex-wife and kids. It's basically meant to be a telenovela set to the tune of Hamilton. Oh, and somehow, it won Best Musical over Wicked at the Golden Globes. My man John Chu always losing out to inferior musicals. I see you, John. I see you. Better luck with part 2, my guy. But honestly, I don't want to talk about why Emilia Perez is bad, because if you have eyes, you can see that for yourself. I want to talk about how the Oscars got here. They weren't always like this, right? There was a time when the Oscars meant something, when being nominated meant a film was truly one of the best, when they celebrated artistry and timeless cinema, not just important messaging. So let's go back. The first Oscars were in 1929. Man, what a time to be alive.
It's too soon.
The ceremony was a small private dinner with 270 people, 12 categories, and were only 15 minutes long. So why were these awards created, I hear you ask? To boost the industry's prestige, promote movies, and, most hilariously, keep actors from unionizing. Louis B. Mayer, the guy who created the awards show and who founded a film production company that would go on to merge into a little studio you might have heard of called MGM Studios, had a very interesting quote about the creation of the Oscars. He said, quote, "I found that the best way to handle movie makers was to hang medals all over them. If I got them cups and awards, they'd kill themselves to produce what I wanted. That's why the Academy Award was created." Oh my gosh, you're telling me even back then, people in the film industry needed their egos satiated?
The wheel turns, nothing is ever new.
Mayer realized since these people were a bunch of narcissists, if they started getting awards that recognized their achievements, then that would make them feel valued without having to, you know, I don't know, pay them more money or anything like that.
You love me. You really love me.
From the very beginning, the Oscars were always a business strategy. Honoring the best movies? That was just a happy side effect, I guess. Ultimately, as we know, unions did end up forming against Mayer's best efforts, but the Oscars truly brought the prestige that Mayer had hoped they would in the following decades as well. By the 1940s, movies like Gone with the Wind and Casablanca won, solidifying the Oscars as a mark of quality. By 1953, they aired on television for the first time, becoming a cultural event. Through the 60s and 90s, legendary films like Lawrence of Arabia, shout out to my boy Peter O'Toole, rest in power, Godfather, and Schindler's List won, movies that were both critically and commercially successful. The Oscars were at their peak when they reflected movies people actually cared about. Of course, the Academy still had its Oscar snubs, like Citizen Kane losing to How Green Was My Valley? You know, the classic movie, How Green Was My Valley? Question mark? But even though Citizen Kane had proven through its timelessness and cultural impact that it's the superior movie, How Green Was My Valley was chosen at the time because apparently it was a more nostalgic and heartwarming story that was considered more emotionally resonant, and Citizen Kane was more controversial because it was a subtle criticism of the media mogul William Randolph. So big surprise, the Academy didn't want to upset the corporate overlord, so instead voted for the cute movie about a Welsh mining community. Also, side note, the more I go down this rabbit hole, the more I realize there's actually a lot of suppression and shady stuff that Randolph did to sabotage Citizen Kane. You know, it's strangely comforting to know that things really do never change. Other snubs included Raiders of the Lost Ark losing to Chariots of Fire, E.T. losing to Gandhi, or most infamously, Annie freaking Hall winning over Star Wars, which I think that one still hurts for a lot of Star Wars fans. Although I think Star Wars fans have bigger things to cry about now, unfortunately. Along with John Chu, I also hear you, and I also see you, Star Wars fans. But even those safe and traditional choices that ultimately won Best Picture were still competent films that at least deserved the nomination. But times change, and boy howdy did change come for the Oscars in the 90s. Everything changed when Weinstein attacked. So for the 1999 Oscars, Harvey wanted to elevate Miramax and get all the prestige and higher box office revenue that was associated with Oscar wins in that era. So he was like, yo, I want Miramax's chill romance about Shakespeare being in love with everyone's favorite goopy girl to win Best Picture, even though Saving Private Ryan was clearly the favorite to win the award. Now, how did he plan to achieve this? 2 words: Oscar campaigning. Oscar campaigns had existed before, but Harvey Weinstein broke that system by doing many unprecedented moves. He hired an in-house publicist, lobbied Academy members individually, bombarded voters with ads, and invited them to lavish parties.
It's not a bribe.
Held private screenings of the movie in popular vacation spots, and most infamously smeared Saving Private Ryan by saying only the first 15 minutes of it are good. And I gotta say, even if that was true, the first 15 minutes of Saving Private Ryan are way better than all of Shakespeare in Love.
Ooh, burn!
And the worst part, it all worked. Shakespeare in Love won, and Weinstein proved you could buy an Oscar. And then every studio obviously took notes. Also, side note, I just realized Stevie Boy might be one of the most snubbed directors in Oscar history when it comes to nominations versus Best Picture wins. Because I think a lot more of these should have won, but what do I know? I guess at this point, beating Spielberg is just a rite of passage. Along with John Chu and Star Wars fans, I hear you and I see you, Steven. You get the W for not stooping to Harvey's level.
You have no one, no net worth. But you have integrity. That's why I respect you.
From the 2000s on, aggressive Oscar campaigns became the norm. By the 2010s, Oscar bait was fully ingrained in the system, which are movies designed not to be beloved, but to win Oscars. As far as the Oscar campaigning goes, I think we saw a direct correlation between the increasing amount of money thrown at these Oscar campaigns and the amount of niche movies that were nominated for Best Picture. It became more and more common to have movies that made audiences scratch their head because they either had never heard of any of them or had watched them and were like, was that it? So people naturally started tuning out because how many people really cared if the King's Speech won? Besides my one friend who's obsessed with Colin Firth. As the industry continued to scratch their head wondering why the viewership continued to drop, the industry simultaneously continued this aggressive campaigning. And if the aggressive campaigning continues to persist, then so must I. Then Netflix decided to jump in, allegedly throwing $100 million in 2020 specifically for their awards campaigns, which feels good to know the reason they decided to raise membership prices again. They also hired Weinstein's own former award strategist, Lisa Tabak, to help run their campaign operations and implement the same strategies she used back in the Miramax days. It feels like all of this Oscar campaigning has naturally culminated to 2025, and now we have Emilia Perez, the ultimate product of this system. I mean, I know I said I wasn't going to do a deep dive into why it was so bad, so instead, I'm just gonna do a speed run of out-of-context clips just to show how bad it was.
5 minutes later.
If you had seen what he has shown to me, you'd be a better man.
What the crap?
Let's go, girls.
Bienvenidos. Hello! Oh, I'm sorry to frighten you, dear. I must look like a yeti.
This was a film nobody cared about that was heavily pushed by Netflix, with Oscar campaigning built on its social messaging rather than merit. For Emilia Perez in particular, the Oscar buzz really started for it at Cannes when the Best Actress award at Cannes was given to every woman in the cast, not just Carla Sofia Gascon, turning it into a historic win. From there, the film leaned into political messaging, hoping Academy members would vote for the message over the movie itself. It's straight from the Weinstein playbook, just without Weinstein. In the past, we saw Weinstein effectively use messaging to help with Oscar campaigning with movies such as My Left Foot, where Daniel Day-Lewis went to Congress to advocate for disability rights, or with the movie Lion, where the actor Sonny Pawar had trouble getting a visa in order to enter the US for the movie's promotional campaign. So after this event, they released this promotional poster because it was clearly in reference to the Trump administration's immigration policies. So I think it's safe to say all of these things culminated in the alleged acclaim it received during its initial Oscar buzz.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
But here's the thing, all the awards campaigning for this movie backfired. Sometimes Icarus do be flying too close to the sun. The campaign pushed Emilia Perez so hard that everyone started questioning it, which caused someone, maybe a potential campaign from another movie that was trying to smear this movie, to unearth some, let's call them interesting tweets from Carla that kind of completely stand against the messaging of this movie. The controversies around Carla Sofia Gascon caused Netflix's entire campaign narrative to fall apart disastrously. It's so bad, Carla wasn't even allowed to campaign during the most critical time of the Oscar season. It turns out there's a limit to how much you can force a narrative. And let's just remember, people have been saying this movie doesn't deserve these nominations for months now, but it took a treasure trove of offensive tweets for Hollywood to turn on it. Must feel bad, Netflix, to be so close yet so far to that elusive Best Picture win. But besides the Best Picture nomination, I just am generally annoyed at all the other better candidates that Emilia Perez stole a nomination from. I mean, it feels like they accidentally gave the Best Director nomination to the wrong French guy, and the Best International Movie to the wrong French movie. I hear you, and I see you, Denis and Count of Monte Cristo. Well, I'm glad Jacques got nominated for Best Director though, because he champions inclusivity and representation. Wait, oh no. I truly believe if it wasn't for the Carla controversies, this movie would have totally swept the awards. And the inner anarchist in me was really wanting it to win all 13 awards and get an extra bonus 14th award for being so stunning and brave. But alas, the Academy got wise and only awarded it with the Best Original Song, which blessed us with one of the most cringe parts of the night.
Stop humming that song!
As well as supporting actress, which gave us a slightly less cringe moment, but still kind of cringe.
And I am the first American of Dominican origin
to accept an Academy Award, and I know I will not be the last.
I hope.
But even though the Academy only awarded this movie with 2 awards rather than giving it a sweep, the damage was already done. The Oscars have lost credibility. The fact this movie made it as far as it did is the final nail in the coffin. So the moral of the story, if there are any morals left in Hollywood, the Oscars are broken and really started to lose their credibility back in 1999 when the Oscars experienced the Weinstein effect, as far as campaigning goes. Yes, the Oscars have fundamentally always been about rich people congratulating each other, which is literally why they were made, but to people who love movies, which is a significant chunk of people regardless of if they're cinephiles or casual viewers, it still felt like a celebration of films. Seeing movies that touched you personally be recognized by everyone else makes us feel like we're a part of something, and it actually was kind of gratifying. Why do you think there's peaks in Oscar viewership during the years when extremely critically and commercially successful movies were nominated for Best Picture? We saw a glimpse of what they could be in 2024 when they honored movies people actually cared about, but in 2025, they've gone right back to business as usual. Although, side note, I feel like I need to mention this before the video is over, but I think most people agree that The Substance definitely deserves to be nominated. I mean, there's a reason the only thing people really cared about from that night is Demi Moore getting snubbed for Best Actress in an art mimics reality type of moment when the younger Anora actress won the award instead. One thing is certain, the Oscars still struggled with relatively low viewership, and even streaming it on Hulu didn't lead to a significant boost in ratings, and most people still didn't care. I love Conan, and I think he had some great moments that bordered on based, but not even he was going to be able to save the show. Anyways, that's all I had. There's honestly so much more that I could have touched on, like how blockbusters destroyed the commercially and critically acclaimed film, but
ain't nobody got time for that.
So this is where I leave you. Would love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on this, and as always, it's been real, it's been fun, but it hasn't been real fun.